In this video, we are going to discuss about definite loops using for. We know that the while loop iterations till the conditions is met, and hence the number of iterations are usually unknown prior to the loop. Hence, it is sometimes called a indefinite loops. When we know the total number of times the set of statement to be executed, for loop will be used. So this is called as a definite loop. The for loop iterations over a set of numbers, set of word lines in a file. The syntax of the for loop is, so this is the syntax. So this is the header of the for loop. So it consists of for. So for is the keyword, and here we have to specify the variable name, and in is the keyword. So after that we have to specify the list or sequence or range or tuples. So with indentation, we have to specify the statement 1, statement 2 and statement n. So statement 1, statement 2 and statement n are the for loop blocks, and statements after for is continuing the body of the loops. So here far and in. So far and in are the keywords. List and sequence is a set of elements on which the loop is iterated. That is, the loop will be executed till there is an element in a list or sequence. So this statements is continues the body for the loop. Let's consider one example. So here, so this is the header of the for loop for I n. So within square bracket, so we return 5 comma 4 comma 3 comma 2 comma 1. So this is the sequence and colon. So after that, so we are going to print I. So here the print I is belongs to for loop. So again we are going to print block stop. So here I is the iteration variable. I is the iteration variable, and 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1 are the 5 element sequence. 5 element sequence. If you execute this, the interpreter is going to print 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So after that it's going to print blast off. So here, so this is the first sequence 5, second sequence 4, next sequence 3, next one 2 and last sequence is 1. So in for loop, so if I is equal to 5, so here I is equal to 5 in first iteration, so I is 5, so it's going to print the I value. So I value, assigned I value is 5, so here the interpreter will print the 5. Again, when I is equal to 4, the interpreter is going to print 4, and I is equal to 3, so it will print the 3 value, and I is equal to 2, it will print the 2, and I is equal to 1, it will print the 1. So all sequence are iterated. So after iteration, the interpreter is move to next sequence, move to next statement, and the next statement is print blast off. It's going to print at the end. So in this particular example, print I is belongs to for loop. So this is the flowchart for this example.
So let execute this in interpreter. So here, so first we have to specify the for loop header. So here we are using keyword for and variable name is I, and again we are using one more keyword in. So after that, so we have to specify the sequence. So sequence are 5 comma 4 comma 3 comma 2 1 1. So again, so we have to print variable, and variable name is I here. I, again we are going to print loop loop is terminated. Loop is terminate. So just you run this code. So just you run this code. So interpreter will display the sequence in order. So here display values are 5 4 3 2 1. So after sequence, the interpreter control is move to next statement, next print statement. The statement is loop is terminate. The here first iteration sequence is 5, next one is 4, next is 3 2, and last one is 1.
Let's consider one more example. So in the below given example, the list name is containing a 3 string has been created. Then the counter variable x in the for loop is iterated over this list. The variable x is takes the element in the names one by one, and the body of the loop is executed. So here we created one loop, and with the name is names. Names is equal to Sachin, Seva and Yuraj. So after that, so we call the definite function, definite for loop. So here, so this is the header of the for loop. So for x is the variable name and in is the keyword, and here we call the names. So name it consists of Sachin, Sehwag and Yuraj. So after that we are going to print the x value. We are going to print the x value. X is belongs to for loop. So if we execute this in first iteration x value is equal to Sachin. So this is the first sequence. So after first iteration, its interpreter is going to print Sachin. Next iteration x value is Sehwag, it's going to print Sehwag, and next iteration x is Yuvraj, it's going to print Yuvraj. So if we execute this, the interpreter is going to print Sachin, Sehwag and Yuvraj. Note that in Python, list is an important data type. It can take a sequence of elements of the different types. It can take the value as a common separated sequence enclosed within a square bracket. The elements in the list can be extracted using a index, just similar to extracting array elements in C++ language. So various operations like indexing, slicing, merging, adding and deletion and deletions of element, etc. So we will discuss later all these things. In for loop, we can extract all the characters in a string by using this slash t. For example, for I in hello, so here for and in are the keywords and variable name is I, and this is the string value. So string is hello. So after that we are going to print I and is equal to slash t. So this slash t is extract the characters in a string. So here characters are H, E, L, L, O. So the expected output is, the interpreter output is H, E, L, L, 0. So with space the interpreter is going to execute. So for example, you take, so for is it for I in allo. So after that we are going to print directly I value. So if you execute this code, the in first iteration interpreter is going to execute H, after that E, after that L, O. So if you use end is equal to slash t, so interpreter is extract the characters in the in the string. The result is H space E space L space O. So this is the function of the slash t. So now we will move on to range function. So when we have a fixed set of numbers to iterate in a for loop, we can use a function range. The function range is takes the following format. So this is the range. So within a parenthesis we have to declare the start, end and steps. So here the start and end is indicate the starting and ending value in the sequence, where end is executed in the sequence, that is sequence is up to n minus 1. So for example, so let us default value for start is 0 and end value is n minus 1. End value is n minus 1. So for example, let us assume n is equal to 4. So here default value for the start is 0 and end default value is end minus 1. So for example, so here start value is 4 and end value user assigned value is 4. So here starting value is 1 and end value is 4. The interpreter is going to print 1, 2 and 3. So end value is less than the user values. So here default step value is 1. So here that is the sequence is up to n minus 1. The default value for the start is 0. The argument steps indicate the increment or decrement in the values of the sequence. With the default value is 1. So here step default value is 1. Hence the argument steps is optional. Let us consider few examples on usage of range functions. Let's consider examples. So here we have to print the value from 0 to 4. So here we use the for loop, definite for loop for I in range of 5. This is the for loop header. After that we are going to print I end is equal to slash t. So we know that range syntax is range of start value, end value and step size. So default start value is 0 and default step is 1 and here 5 is the end value. The interpreter is going to print the 5 values. So 0, we're going to print 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So number of values are 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. The interpreter is not going to print the 5 value, it excludes the 5, 5. So here if you run this code, the interpreter is going to execute 0, interpreter is going to print 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So here the 0 is the default starting value. The statement range is 5 is same as 0 comma 5. So you can directly you assign 5 or else you initialize the start value 0 and end value 5. It's same as range 5 and range 0 comma 5 comma 1. So here 0 is the start value, 5 is the end value and 1 is the step value. Here 0 and 1 is the default value, so no need to specify. The interpreter will take or consider as a 0 and 1. So if we at the end interpreter will print the values. So this particular example, so it prints the value from 0 to 4. So if range is 6, the interpreter is going to print the value from 0 to 5. So if range is 10, interpreter is going to print the value from 0 to 9. So let's consider one more example. The print the value from 5 to 1. So here the for I in the range, so we have to print the values from 5 to 1. That's what we are using. The starting value is 5, initialized value is 5, the end value is 0, and here step size is -1. So we have to decrement the value. That's what step size is -1. So if you default value is 1, so step size is 1, it increments the values. So here we have to decrement the values. That's what we assign. Step size is -1. So after that we are going to print I. So in first iteration, interpreter is print the 5 and next value is 4, next one is 3, next is 2 and next is 1. So the function 5 comma 0 comma -1 is indicates that the sequence of values are 5 to 0. So 0 is excluded because the end value is less than one value. 0 is excluded. In the step of -1 is the downwards. So for example, so here, so we are going to print 5 to 1. So in case of 6 to 0, the interpreter is going to print the value from 6 to 1. So let's consider one more example. So print only even number is less than 10. So for I in the range, so here range, in a range we assign 0, 10 and 10 comma 2. So 0 is the starting value, 10 is the end value, and 2 is the step size. So if we know that 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and end value is 9. So our intention is to print the even numbers is less than 10. So here even numbers are, so this is the one even number and this is the second even number, 4 is the next even number, 6 is the next one and 8 is the next even number. Just to observe this sequence, here step size is 2. So this is the 0 and this is the second one and this is the fourth value. So our intention is to print the even value is less than 10. So that's what we are using 2 here. The step size is 2. After that we are going to print I. So if we execute this code, Python interpreter is going to print the value 0, 2, 4, 6 and 8.
Let's try this in interpreter. So here we declare for I is the variable name, in is the keyword, and here we declare range function, and range values is 5, and after that we are going to print I comma end is equal to slash t. So if you run this, the interpreter is going to print the values from 0 to 4 because end value is less than the actual value. So here actual value is 5 and default start value is 0 and default step size is 1. Just you run this. So interpreter is going to print the value from 0 to 4. The printed values are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here we print the value with the slash n. If you are not declare this, directly you print the I value. So interpreter is going to print the value from 0 to 4, but in first iteration it will print 0, next iteration 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you use slash n, so it will print like this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you directly print, so interpreter will print the value in column format, so 0 to 4. So let's consider one more example. The range functions are 5 comma 0 comma minus 1. So here, so 5 is the starting value, start value, 0 is the end value, and minus 1 is the step size. If we execute this, the interpreter is going to print the value from 5 to 1. So here, so 0 is the end value. The interpreter is print the end value is 1 less than the actual value. So just you run this, so it will print the value from 5 to 1. The first iteration we get 5, next 4, 3, 2 and 1. So let's consider one more example. So here range functions are 0 is the start value, then end value is 10, and step size is 2. So Python interpreter is going to print the value from 0 to 10, and with the step size is 2. So for example, you take the step is 1, so it will interpreter will print the value from 0 to 9. So here end value is 10, so 10 is excluded, so it prints the value from 0 to 9. Total number of values are 10, but range is 0 to 9. So in case of 2 step size, the interpreter is going to print the value with 2 step size. So initially it's print 0, next it's going to print 2, next 4, next 6, next is 8. So here our task is we are going to print the even number. The even number is less than 10. So that's what we are specify. The initial value is 0 and end value is 10 and step size is 2. So every second value is the even number. So just you run this, the interpreter is going to print 0, 2, 4, 6 and 8. So we have 5 even number all even number are less than 10. So if you want to increment any values in the range function, we have to give the positive step value. If you want to decrement the any values in range function, we have to give the negative values. These are some references. Thank you.